Hello, my fellow Hulk fans. It's Jerry Rasco with you. And yes, it is time again for us to review another Tales to Astonish featuring the Incredible Hulk. So thank you all for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. As of the recording of this video, we are at 400 subscribers strong. So that is all thanks to you. Thank you all so much for the amazing support that you've given us for the series and the channel. I want to remind everybody, if you're not subscribed, if you're new here, you definitely want to hit that button. Number one, it's completely free. It costs you nothing to click the subscribe button. But what it does do is it does put you in position to win some free artwork. So as of the recording of this video, there are currently 3 series on this channel where I review original old Marvel comics. We've got this one here with the Hulk, we have Spider-Man, and we have the X-Men. But there are 3 more series that are coming that I'm prepping right now. And each of these features an original piece of art by myself that lucky subscribers can win just by hitting the subscribe button. So when we reach 1,000 subscribers, I will pick winners at random, no cost, no shipping. I will send you original artwork just by being a subscriber to the channel. So that all said, this is one of the pieces that we're going to have in one of the series that we're going to be launching here very soon. That is the Fantastic Four, of course, Marvel's first family and where the Marvel Universe really started. We have the Avengers. That's another new series that's coming out shortly. We've got the Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Wasp, and Ant-Man as the original lineup. We have Captain America. Of course, we love Captain America. We're going to be looking at his solo series as well as his adventures in the Avengers. And then, as I mentioned, we have the ones from these series right here. We have the Hulk, of course, for this series that we're about to talk about today. We have the X-Men in their original school uniforms. There's Iceman over there. We have that. And we have the Amazing Spider-Man, which was the very first review series on the channel. So all of these are going to be going to lucky subscribers for free just by hitting that subscribe button. So the faster we get to 1,000 subscribers, the sooner you could have that art in your hands. So if you haven't subscribed, hit the button. If you think there might be somebody you know who'd be interested or might enjoy this content, let them know as well so they can subscribe. That all said, we're going to get over to this one. I'm not going to lie. It's not spoilers per se, but a little foreshadowing. This is a rough one. So, good to know in terms of the overall arc of the story and the Hulk, but bear with me here, folks. We're going to jump over this comic and check it out. Okay, so this is Tales to Astonish number 71. And as you can tell, we have a difference here. There's no Hulk on the cover. So up until this point, the cover was typically split between the 2 features in the series. So before Submariner, which started, he was added to the title in our previous issue. It was Giant Man and the Wasp and the Hulk. And you would have a cover that would feature both, right? Usually split in one direction or the other. And you'd have 2 separate illustrations. Well, in this case, we don't. We just have the Submariner. So I'm not going to go into depth on this cover because this isn't a Submariner channel. This is our series. This is a Hulk series. So we're going to skip over it. It's a good cover. I do really like it. But again, not the focus of this particular series. So while I was skipping through there, you can see all of these original ads and things like that. That's because this is a scanned PDF copy of this original comic, which actually, sorry, we'll go back here and look. This was from 1965. So this is as close to the original experience of reading this, buying it from the newsstand, buying it from the bookstore, and being able to read this comic. That's why I really love this format of these scanned copies. Creative team. Let's talk about this. This is a little bit different than what we've seen, and that does explain why immediately, if you're a fan of the channel here and you've been following along, you should note that this art looks and feels a little different. So we have Stan Lee still writing. Jack Kirby is still involved doing layouts, whereas Mike Esposito, who goes by Mickey DeMio in these credits, is listed as art as opposed to inker. I've talked about this in other series. There's a lot of these. If you go back into any of the playlists that we have here from the Spider-Man series, Hulk, or X-Men series, I talk a lot about the difference between what layouts are, pencils are, inks are, finishers are. But basically what it means is Jack Kirby just went through and just sort of laid out what the page should be. So here's this panel should be here, this one here. So he composed the pages, and then he would have put the large figures in, probably very rough. No details, like no hair, no facial expressions, no shading, probably just kind of bubble figures like Hulk, Rick, Monster, etc., etc. And so then Mike Esposito, aka Mickey DeMio, would have gone in and finished drawing and inking all of these figures. And that's why it does look extremely different. There are some elements here that are very we'll get to, are very Kirby-esque, but there's a lot, especially in the figure work, where it is very un-Kirby-like. Let's start with this splash page. Actually, let's do a very quick story recap here. We're still dealing with the leader. So the leader, the other gamma-spawned creature with his vast intelligence, is apparently not intelligent enough to come up with multiple plans to do stuff. He is really all in on these, what he calls humanoids, these sort of giant plastic or rubbery type robots that he can control. So he's tried one, he's tried several, he's tried miniature ones, he's now trying a giant one. And so he doesn't have a lot of variation right now on his plans, which I think is kind of interesting. It's a strange perspective on this splash page. What I mean is there's not enough space or overlapping to help indicate the distance. So when you first look at this, and the other part that doesn't help is the credits down here at the bottom covering the Hulk's feet. Because of that, the Hulk looks like he's standing on this purple plane a couple of feet away from these, what are, I guess, plateaus or buttes. And that now there's a robot there. They all look like he looks like he's standing on the same plane as the robot, or the humanoid. And that's because he's supposed to be standing on a ledge. There's supposed to be a vast distance between them. But because you can't see his feet in the ledge there, and it's the same color as the midground of this purple, it really doesn't work. So if you look at it quickly, it's very strange. It looks like they're walking on this sort of miniature set, almost like one of the behind the scenes of the old classic like Godzilla monster movies, where they're dressed up, they're supposed to be giant, and they're crushing little models of cities and stuff. That's what it looks like the Hulk and this robot are doing, when that is not the case, right? So it's kind of messed up there. And then the other thing, this is not a great angle on the Rick Jones face. So I'm sorry, I should have story-wise circled back around. Yes, we are dealing with a giant humanoid robot and the leader, but what is about to happen is the military has launched a giant nuclear missile at this robot, and Rick Jones is trying to warn the Hulk in time so that they can escape. And then the last thing to remember is Bruce Banner was shot in the head by the military in the middle of transforming from the Hulk back to Bruce Banner. And there is a bullet lodged in his skull, which is allowing him to have the brain of Bruce Banner in the body of the Hulk. But if he transforms back, he will die. So he's kind of locked in the body of the Hulk right now. So that's why we're getting a Hulk that can talk. And, he's talking about maximum speed and dealing with shockwaves and stuff like that. It's Bruce Banner's brain, but we do see it's him sort of slipping towards more of the Hulk as we go. So anyway, story-wise, that's what's happening. Rick is running out here to warn him, and again, not a great angle. What I mean is we're trying to do, again, that upshot. Our camera angle, our point of view is basically here. This is sort of our eye line. So as we look up, yes, we would be looking up into Rick's face, so that's why we see the underside of his nose, which works. But the rest of his face is drawn straight on. It isn't reflecting that up angle, which I say over and over. If you're a fan of the channel and you've seen any of my videos, you know it's very hard to draw that angle of a human face. And that's where this falls short. The eyes are drawn straight on, like we're looking eye to eye, but that's not where our eye line is. Our eye line isn't here. Our eye line is much lower. And so because of that, this is a mix of angles that doesn't really work. The expression is good. He's sweating, he's fearful. That part of it is good. But in terms of the angle of the face, it's not right. And then the last thing I'll put here on this note is the Hulk, I've said, has an ugly face. And this is, now he's a monster. He's not supposed to be particularly handsome. That's true. But the Hulk face is not drawn well throughout this issue. I'll be very clear about that. It feels like there's too many lines. There's too many attempts at different angles and structures that don't make sense in terms of how you build a face. So it doesn't really work. Now you go from, they're very far away. They're so far away that these are buttes that would be, right, huge, big rocks, 50, this thing's 500 feet tall. These things are, 40 feet tall, 20, 30, 40 feet tall. So that's how far away they are from here. And now in the next panel, they're literally underneath the robot. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that the robot was striding forward and in one big stride reached where Rick and the Hulk are. But that would have been nice to have shown that, maybe show a foot up in the air like the thing is walking towards them, not just standing there. So there's a real change in that angle and the distance and all that kind of stuff from panel to panel that's a little offsetting, I guess, or off-putting, I should say. So yeah, they jump away and there's an explosion and they get out of the way, but they're going to ride the shockwave away. And this is where it's fine. It's just this, my notes, the way I described it, this panel needs clarity. So what I mean is you have the explosion and then you have this very rough, almost like dry brush texture of these lines. And this is the force that's pushing them. And that's okay. I can get behind that. But then it goes from being that to being this sort of broken wavy line, which I don't understand the transition there. I guess they're supposed to be in super high altitude so that you can literally see the curvature of the earth and the land below, but it's not clear enough. There's nothing recognizable that tells us that's what that is, that it's the earth to show us that's how high they are. And then the other part, you have all these lines, and then you've added these hatching lines inside the figures as well as the air is going by them. It's fine to do, except there's just too much. There's all these lines and then these lines, and nothing becomes very clear. It's the form is there, but it's kind of blurry. Again, just lacks a little clarity. For me, the way that I like to handle this is, yes, I would have these energy lines, this blast, shockwave, whatever you want to call it. I would do I'd probably do light, like there's a giant explosion. I would have lit them from the bottom left coming up. I would have heavily shadowed the opposite side, and then I would have pulled more of these sort of speed lines off them on the dark side, showing that energy is blowing past them. Subtle little stuff, but can really, again, help with the story clarity. They fall back down to Earth. Again, now we do see kind of the curvature of the Earth. So, okay, this is a little more clear. We could have mirrored that over here. And then I just want to point this out, the Hulk foot. Now, one of the ways that you can, if you have a monster character like the Hulk, characters like Doomsday from DC Comics, anybody that's larger than human, you want to have things like large hands, large feet, and a smaller head. It emphasizes the size of the body and makes them seem larger. So I understand big feet, but this is like a clown foot. Having your feet be large doesn't mean just having them be long coming out from your shin. The whole foot is larger. which means the heel is larger, the ball of the foot is larger, but this thing is like a weird clown foot, and does not really work for me. So just something to note there. Yeah, this is interesting as well, just from a dialogue perspective. So they're watching, they've shot this giant atomic missile, which has disabled the robot. That's great. General Ross is super excited. He wants to grab a hold of this technology. And then he mentions that this bomb they sent, this super giant bomb, is a clean bomb, which has no lingering radioactivity. Then why does Bruce, in the Bruce's brain in the body of the Hulk, as he and Rick are landing off in the desert from their riding out the explosion, that it carried them beyond the radiation area? There is no radiation area. General Ross just said there's no radiation. And remember, that's Bruce's job. There's a good chance that Bruce Banner helped design and build this bomb. That's what he does. That's how he became the Hulk, by designing a giant radioactive bomb. So you can't tell me he doesn't know how that works and whether it leaves radiation or not. So it's just some bad writing there in terms of being consistent with our character. The robot's been disabled. I do like all the little forms. Again, that's nice to really emphasize how large it is. And at first I was like, maybe are they a little small? But if this guy's supposed to be 500 feet, you've got things like a Jeep or like a truck, like a transport truck. And you go, yeah, okay, that scale really works. That's actually done really well. But before the military can get their hands on this thing, it goes up in flames, and that's the leader's safety mechanism, right? He's not going to let anybody get a hold of his technology, so he's got to sort of self-destruct, which has the thing burst into flames. I did want to point this out. So I understand the leader, I guess, like, he's already established that he could view things through the robot, but this is a view of the robot. So that means there has to be some sort of a camera poised up here, whether it's in the sky. So does he basically have drone technology or satellite technology before anybody else? Maybe. But there has to be a camera to create a picture, right? And so Rick and the Hulk just jumped at a random direction, got blown across the desert. So who knows where they are, yet somehow the leader has a camera that picks them up. Where is this camera? And it's kind of ground level. Like, it's not, again, if it was down and you go, oh, it's like a satellite view or something like that. Okay, cool. He sees him. This is sort of ground level. He's got a camera there. Does this guy cover every square inch of the desert in cameras? What is happening? The vision of the leader here isn't bad. He's just a little, his face is he's holding on to some water, let's say. His face is a little fat. The hairline and the head is good. I like the heavy set eyebrows. That all works well. But these cheeks are way too big. Like, this guy's, his eye is here, but his cheeks stick out to here. And then he's got this very squared off jaw because the head is drawn so wide. Realistically, right, he should be more like this. And here's the problem. As Mike Esposito drew it, he draws the wide head, and then he just comes down, because this is what you would do with a normal head. You would draw the crown, it comes down, you have a kind of indent at your cheek, your jawbone, the angle of your jaw, down to your chin. Well, because the leader has a big head, he just drew the whole head wide. It should taper in, and that's going to provide more of, again, a visual, psychological reaction to this character. Don't give him a broad, wide chin and face. That we associate more heroic figures, stronger figures. You want him to be much more narrow, more, for lack of a better term, weaselly, rat-like, whatever. We don't want to like this guy. We don't want him to look heroic in any shape or form. So don't give him a big lantern jaw, right? Save those for Superman, guys like that. The next thing I want to talk about very quickly is scale. And what we're seeing here is just, again, a bad example of keeping your characters in scale. We know that the Hulk is much larger than Rick. So over here on the right-hand side, you see him. He scoops them up, and they're going to leap away. His hand is, the size of a quarter of Rick's back. His hand underneath his leg is almost, so the width of the Hulk's hand is almost as long as Rick's whole leg is. This makes sense to me. The Hulk is bigger than a normal human, definitely bigger than Rick Jones. That should be great. Over here, look how small this hand and how small this foot is. Rick's head is the same size as the Hulk's head. The Hulk should be way bigger. And that's just, again, a lack of consistency. We know you're drawing the pages. You can look back and go, oh yeah, he's supposed to be a lot bigger. And then you just draw Rick a little smaller. I mean, it's not rocket science, but being consistent with your figures from panel to panel is really important if you want to be, a consistent professional in terms of drawing. Rick's okay. Everybody's going to be good. But we're starting to see things, like I said, the Hulk slipping a little bit. So what I mean is, like, the army's still looking. Normally, if it's Bruce, he would kind of slink away and hide. Now he's like, oh, I'll fight him. I'll fight them all. And, Rick's like, no, we got to go. I need, you got to help me. I'm not, he's still not 100% here. And the Hulk is starting to say things like houndin' me instead of hounding me. And then I'm going, stuff like that. So again, slipping into that Hulk language, Hulk mentality. This face is awful. This Hulk face over here is just terrible. It's not the worst we're going to see, but it is right up there. I don't know what is happening. Instead of his eye, now I get it. The Hulk has heavy set brow that comes over, but it's like it goes to the corner of the eye and like it's slumping down, like it's clay, like, falling off his head. I don't understand. The mouth is so wide. It's just not done well at all. This one is much better, actually, of this angle. This image here works pretty well. This is a much better Hulk drawing. The military see them and follow, and they get to their cave, the secret laboratory cave, where Banner Hulk, we'll call him, is going to use the machines and the lab to keep himself in Hulk form so that he does not transform back and die. However, the military is not going to give him that chance. They're going to follow him and bombard him. So this may be the end of this secret lab situation. This is terrible. This head is about twice as big as it should be. It's okay to have his, again, I mentioned, if you want to show your character and have them feel really large, you actually give them a normal size head or a slightly smaller head compared to the rest of their body, and then you give them large hands and feet. This is the exact opposite. You gave him a giant head that's as big as Rick Jones' whole torso, but then you gave him little hands and itty bitty little feet. Like, it's just awful. I mean, I always try to be sort of, I'll say generous, if you will, or, explain why something, might have been drawn wrong. This is just not good. This face here, same thing. Like I said, it's like his eyebrows are sliding off his head. His eyes don't line up. His head is tilted. And so if I tilt my head this way, this eye should be in line, but it's going to be slightly higher than the other one. This is backwards. This eye is slightly lower than this eye. And it's, again, if you want to be then that eye, if you want to be a professional, that's a very simple thing of just taking a line and making sure your eyes line up. Like this pupil here, if I draw a straight line across, his other pupil should be here. These lines above the lip, I don't know what it's supposed to be. He's talking, that's great, but we don't really have a lot of wrinkles between your nose and your upper lip, unless you're, it's either a sign of age, right? We have, people start to wrinkle there, or or like it's not a mustache because the Hulk doesn't have a mustache. I don't know what is happening with that face. And then yeah, so the military bombs the cave, and now Hulk and tries to fight back, but they've got atomic weapons. There's just no choice. They're trapped, and man, this drawing is just really rough. I mean, it's the figures of the Hulk are there's almost no there's it's just outlined. There's very little rendering. There's just kind of little dash marks here and there. There's no real shadows. It doesn't feel like he's lifting the rock in any way because there's no weight. There's no emphasis on his body posture to show the weight. I guess he's super strong. Maybe it feels weightless to him. I don't know. But man, it's just tough. There's just lines everywhere for no reason. He's supposed to be surrounded by a bunch of military, and most of it is off panel. Like, put more men, more stuff here, move these guys forward a little bit. There's a big gap of distance there. Just draw Talbot and General Ross much smaller. I mean, it's not hard to do, but yeah, it's just really bad. This one where now the Hulk is going to, again, he and Rick are arguing, like, so the Hulk's like, I'll go fight him. You stay here. You'll be safe. Rick's like, no. They'll kill you. And then Hulk's like, well, then you go out and I'll wait here for him. And then once you're safe, I'll try to fight him. And it's like, no. So nothing's going to work. This is not so bad. This bent over figure, the large hand finally, in proportion for the body in comparison to Rick. The scale is right. I would have liked to have seen some more shadows. There's just that little bit under the leg. And then you can see there's this hatch marks, this cross hatching underneath is the Hulk casting a shadow on the ground. That's good, but that also has to be reflected. Why do you cast a shadow? Because there's a light source above you, right? You're blocking light. That's what causes that shadow. Well, then underneath his body where he's bent over should be very shadowed as well. That would have been nice to see there under his chin, a little bit under the bottom part of this arm, maybe where it wouldn't be catching, definitely lower legs. So we're not seeing that kind of core and cast shadows that we want throughout the figure. This face, remember when I said the other one wasn't the worst? This is the worst. This face is nightmare fuel. I have no idea what is happening here. There are weird wrinkles and forms that do not make sense. Everybody has this little, I forget, there's an actual name for it, but this little divot under your nose above your lip, right? That forms. This thing is turned into this weird L shape, but there's still little dots on his lip and on his, is it dirt? I don't know. The teeth are almost perfectly straight and in the wrong angle. It should be slightly curved the other way because he is looking up a little bit. And this is, again, where you've kind of now messed up the perspective on the face. If I can see underneath his nose and see his nostrils that way, then the teeth can't be going down. He's looking up. So I'm going to see the underneath. So it's going to curve in the other direction. I mean, just overall, just crazy. And then we'll wrap it up here. The story, the leader shows up in a, like, projects his image to the Hulk and is like, hey, I can save you. I can teleport you out of here, but you have to agree to work with me and be my ally. Now, this leader face is very good, and they've done it, the coloring in a way that it's drawn through because you can see through him, right? He's just a projection, but this is a much better face. Even though I'd like to see the chin a little narrower, cut that jaw down a little bit, this is much better than the one we saw earlier. Top of his head is much wider to a narrow face. This one works a lot better. This Hulk face, again, just weird. It's like bits of clay on a head shape, but they don't fit together. The bottom lip looks like it's not detached, but like it's not part of the face. Again, there's these weird lines on his upper lip. I don't know what those are supposed to be. too many like folds and shadows. The face just looks like it's melting. So yeah, this is crazy rough. And that, thank heavens, is the end of this issue. So we're going to cut back over to the desk and we're going to wrap things up. Whew, that was tough. So that is Tales to Astonish number 71. As you can tell, not everyone is a winner chicken dinner. There are going to be some issues that are going to be stinkers, and this is one of them. But I'm going to try to spin it. You can't appreciate the sunny days if you don't have rain once in a while. And that's what we got here. We got a rainy day, and that's okay. It happens. We're moving the story forward. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, where it's left on a cliffhanger. Is the Hulk going to go with the leader? What's going to happen with this? He's stuck in the Hulk form or he dies. All these things. We've got a lot of good stuff coming. And we have, again, more art teams to look at down the road. I know it does change up some here and there. So that's going to be very interesting to see as well. So we have a lot of fun stuff to look forward to. And we got through this one together. My ranking, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 10. Again, very, very rough from an artistic standpoint. And there's very little story here. Other than them jumping away from the explosion and then the military chasing after him, there's not a lot happening. So combined with the lack of Hulk on the cover and everything else, just not a great issue. Not something I would recommend. If I was going to invest in an old Hulk book, this would not be it. That all said, we have a lot to look forward to, though. So make sure, again, click that subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this one. I'll be very interested in hearing what you think about this issue. And make sure to join us here next week for even more and better Incredible Hulk. Thanks.